Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's session. I appreciate you guys being here. So, we're tackling a topic that not many people talk about, and they go through their whole lives not knowing that much information about it. So, what is the topic? The topic is sex. And we're just going to be able to build our muscle of knowledge to be able to learn much more about it and to be able to make good decisions and have the best lives that we can. So especially in our sexual lives, and that starts usually with being knowledgeable in an area. So welcome, welcome. Um, as always, feel free to raise your hand, speak, ask a question, share a story, share how you feel about something. That's always, always welcome. And we can jump right into it this time. Instead of recapping all of the skills that we've learned in the last 12 sessions, we'll just recap the last one, just recap last week's session before we jump into this week. So if you can think back to last week we were covering passive aggression, and we learned how to tackle it in 3 steps. So first thing was noticing when passive aggression is happening and calling it out. And then the second one was finding out what it is that they directly want and then doing it. And then step 3 was asking them to speak directly in the future to avoid that sort of thing happening again. And the classic textbook one is always the laundry pile is high is the passive aggression, and directly asking, can you please do the laundry by the end of the day, is a question that the other person can answer to, and you can reach some sort of resolution. And then, asking in the future, instead of saying the laundry pile is high, can you please directly ask what you want. So that would be ideally how people go about it. But in normal life, it doesn't always exactly work out that way. So, all right. So that's passive aggression, the skill. So today we're jumping into sex. And just a bit of background so you can see that I have some credibility for being able to talk on this topic. I have a master's in clinical behavioral psychology, specializing in relationships. I've got 2 papers in international psychology journals, and in practical experience, happily married for the last 4 years. We do have an awesome person in this room that's been happily married for 30 years. So they will definitely be able to add a lot of value to this space. But I wanted to jump right into some really important things that I want to educate you guys on. So let's start with, what percentage of women have orgasms during intercourse? And I want you guys to think about it. You don't have to answer straight away or come up with a number, but there's a very strong kind of portrayal in the media that when sex, and specifically intercourse is what I'm talking about, that it both happens at the same time, and that's kind of how it goes. So what percentage of women do you think have orgasms during intercourse? You guys can put your I'm going to go, I'm going to start at 1%, and then if you think it's the right percentage, just put in your little icon, put a thumbs up. Okay, so let's start at 100%. 100% of women have orgasms through intercourse. Jim's laughing. Okay, 90%. 90% of women orgasm during intercourse. Yep, still laughing. 80%, 70%, 60%, 50%. Okay, we got a 50%, 50, 60%, 40%, 30%. Okay, we got a 40%. We got a 30%, 20%, 10%, 0%. Okay, all right. So 0% master. I appreciate that. Okay, so the question is, what percentage of women have orgasms through intercourse? And we just went through a whole percentage thing to see what people think. So The answer is actually 20%. 1 in 5 women have orgasms during intercourse. It's 20%. And so, as you can imagine, if we're all being really honest about it, faking can be such a thing that women do for a lot of reasons. Especially if, can you imagine if your partner that you are with says, "Oh yeah, like my past relationships, they've all orgasmed," and then you feel really bad, and then you will be like, "Well, I am too," and that you can easily just go into that, just trying to feel adequate, and feeling like you're not adequate if you can't do this and all other women can, and you must be this odd duck that is just doing something wrong, and nobody understands what you're going through. Society doesn't, they always portray it differently in the media and the movies. But yeah, know that the real stats, 1 in 5. No, I don't know, it's even lower. No, I think it is. No, 20%. I think it is. Oh my gosh, my math. Okay, well, just remember only 20% of women actually have orgasms through intercourse. So, what does that mean? So, in the next question, we want to jump into, what is a way to balance the playing field for men and women who both have? Ooh, I got a hand up. I got a hand up. Go for it, Jim.
All right. I just wanted to state for the record that in my experience, 100% of the women since 1987 have orgasmed during intercourse.
All of them. Oh, absolutely every single one of them.
Well, I'm going to just say it's only been one. We dated for 6 years before we got married, and she would let me know. I'm promising you every time. If she didn't, and I think I could count on one hand. So over those years.
Yeah, well, you're a very lucky man. You seem to have found the 20%. One a person in the 20% range.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for you. I'm happy for
It's
you.
a small sample size, admittedly.
Well, it's the perfect sample size if that's what you've got. But there's other ways. So most people are not as fortunate to be able to experience that, ever potentially. So what do we do with that? I appreciate the input. So yes, there are some women who do it. So we will not doubt every single woman that says that they actually did orgasm, and make them say, no, you're lying, you're lying. Some people are telling the truth. It's just majority isn't, but it's still obviously possible. So if you are with someone who's part of the 80%, what is a way of balancing the playing field between men and women both having orgasms? Because we want to establish having orgasms is helpful because it's something that helps you want to do it again. There's so much dopamine is released, like chemically in your brain, and that association between orgasm and the behavior of being sexual is very linked. So if for women, think about it, if 80% of women are not orgasming during intercourse, then they're not building that strong association that men have with sex if they're usually orgasming every single time during intercourse. So that's why it's really important to um, level the playing field here for women to also have an equal amount of sex. So then they also have that strong association with sexual behavior and feeling positive towards it. So, who has an idea of how to level the playing field if for 80% of women it's not the same? Is anyone brave enough to put their hand up or unmute?
I don't know what you mean by level the playing field. What can you say that a different way?
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment. So, level the playing field of how do we have women have more orgasms so that it's more equal. So for every one man having an orgasm, one woman can have an orgasm. What is some ideas on how to increase women having an orgasm during a sexual encounter?
All right. So I'll field that. No problem. So I would say that communication is super important, right? You have to understand what each other, you know, what people like, right? So is what's going to push, in this case, like a male too far, so that he can no longer perform long enough for the woman to catch up, right? So that's one part of the equation as far as communication goes and managing that. And then the other part is being close enough and vulnerable enough as a couple to talk about, what actually, gets results, what feels good, and, to go there.
Yeah, yeah, love the communication, love talking about exactly what's going on so we can figure this stuff out. Super important stuff. Houdini, I saw you come up. Is there anything you want to weigh in on here?
Yeah, I think I've been running around. Maybe someone said it, but like, it's not news that intercourse is for dudes and not for girls. I think, right? So, if a partner from the man side wants to be satisfactory or even good, I think there's got to be a lot of pleasing that happens prior to intercourse or after, or some other part of the equation. I think works really well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So, actually, you'll be surprised. I love that you knew that, Houdini. A lot of people still don't know that there's such a large portion of women that don't have orgasms during intercourse, that it's, around 80% of women that don't. So awesome that, you're already ahead of the game for knowing that.
I didn't
And
realize
what
the
you
number
said,
was so low. It still hurt a little bit, but like,
yeah,
yeah, I knew it
yeah.
wasn't 100. I thought it was maybe 50-50, but damn, 20%. Ouch.
Yep, yep, yep. Well, you at least more aware than a lot of people, which is awesome. The other thing that so one of the ways to be able to, make sure women have as much orgasms as men, one of the easiest ways to do that is to have the girl orgasm first. And then that's out of the way, and then you can like,
Mhm.
have it done your
Carry
way.
on guilt free after that and have good times. Yep.
Yep. Exactly. So that's a easy kind of rule of thumb that can help. Ooh, we got a thumbs
Oh,
down. We got a
Ch-
thumbs down. Talk to
Chucky's
me.
like, no way, I can't. That's not allowed.
Yeah, yeah. I want to hear your opinion. If you're open to talk about it, you don't have to, but this is a free space to talk about it.
There's an argument that says you got to climax together, right? Or that's the goal or whatnot, which is nice, but like, I mean, day to day. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It can be awesome when it happens together, but maybe it doesn't happen every time. And at the frequency that you guys want it to happen, there's going to be some sort of balance. So yeah, this is just what I wish I could hear what Chucky's feelings were on this, but it's okay. I This is one way of doing it. It's not the only way, and it's not the way you have to do it for sure. But it's a good rule of thumb way to just make sure that's happened, and it's a level
Stop faking
playing
it eighty
field.
percent of the time too, ladies. Like you gotta
Yeah.
tell us what give us some like some disappointment from time to time if you want to steer us in a different direction. So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. So, so important. Please own it. There's no shame in being one of the 80%. You're absolutely part of the majority, and it's not going to change unless you speak up. So, this is a great conversation starter. You can maybe even start with this fact and then start the conversation and go from there. Yeah, absolutely. So, that's one thing to take into consideration. One other positive thing for women is that they can actually orgasm multiple times. So for men, once they orgasm, they usually get tired and then it takes time to reboot themselves. Some people are quicker than
We're
others.
so
Some people
lucky with
like
that stuff.
absolutely, absolutely. So that's something that you can have in your toolbox to know that if a woman orgasms the first time, it's possible to orgasm again. Um, and there's so much exploring to do to figure out how to make a girl orgasm. There's just so many things that are going on down there that we can go into more detail in just a bit. And just saying up front that, we've put a lot of emphasis so far on orgasms. Orgasms isn't the end all be all of sexual activity. It's just a part of it. It's a part that we don't want to completely ignore it. It's still important to talk about, but it's not everything. So I'll just address that at the beginning. Let's go on to the next question. So, is it okay for a husband and wife to both feel like having sex? They don't feel like having sex for a year. Do we think thumbs up or thumbs down if they both don't feel like having sex for a year? What do we think? If a friend came to you and was like, "Oh, we got lots of thumbs down. Interesting. Interesting. We got strong thumbs down. All the thumbs down. Okay, so you'll actually be surprised. All of the thumbs down. Okay, okay. I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it. So it seems like, this is a very strong, oh no, this is totally bad. But I want to challenge you guys that, neither husband or wife is upset in this situation because they both don't feel like having sex. So in that situation, nobody's upset. So they're both happy with the way it is. So if they're both happy with the way things are, then nobody's complaining and we shouldn't really weigh in our stuff. If they feel like having sex, they will. Or if one of them feels like having sex, they will. But if both of them are fine, we're not going to create unnecessary drama because they're both fine with it. So that's a bit of a controversial, unexpected answer. Okay, let's ask the next one. Is it normal for parents of newborn young kids to feel too stressed out to have sex? What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Then we're getting a thumbs up. Okay, okay. All right. Yes. Yes. We got another thumbs up. We got all the thumbs up. Awesome. So yes. So keeping close physical love alive during this time is helpful. You can just be like kisses, small sexual exchanges. But yes, it's not as common for people that just have newborns to be able to have a really active
For a
sex
year
life.
though,
So
is year? I mean, a year is a long time, maybe.
no, that's fair. Okay, so this question didn't have a year in
Oh, I
it.
thought
The
this was
last
still the
question
same
did.
people that didn't want to have sex for a year.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I should have clarified.
Welcome,
New
Cece. Oh, this is
question.
gonna be more fun now.
I'm
Meet Love Story
excited.
Unicorn, Cece.
Hello. Hi. What's going on?
Hi.
Hey.
So excited to have you here.
Hi.
Yes, it's always more exciting when people weigh in on different things relating to relationships, and we all learn better that way. So thank you for being
Sure.
here.
Sure. Houdini said that I should come to this space.
Thanks, Houdini.
Yeah, no,
That's
Cece often
awesome.
gets into, pretty open sex talks and spaces. Like, just goes there sometimes, and I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I know the place for you to hang out occasionally then.
This is perfect. We love having you here. You can definitely provide some great insight for us. So right now
Yes.
we're on the topic of is it okay? Is it normal for parents of newborn young kids to feel too stressed out to have sex?
Oh
Do you want to
shit.
weigh
I,
in on that?
I don't know. I don't have no kids.
Okay, okay, that's fair.
That
That's
sucks
fair.
if you do. I mean,
That was, yeah, I thought it was
sorry,
for a year. I
guys.
thought this was attached to the no sex for a year thing. But anyway, moving forward. New
What?
kids, no
All
sex.
good, all good.
Oh yeah, see, no, no. Like my friend, when she had her kids, like, yeah, they still like there was no off limits. The only time it was off limits was like that, like mandatory time period that the doctor told her, no, you cannot do it because you just had surgery. That was the only time. And she even she went back to it early. I mean, doctor told her like 8 weeks. She went back at 6. Let's say, so, all 3 times. So
Oh, wow.
So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I don't know though.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you both have high libidos and you're going for it, that's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, it's quite common. People with newborn kids are feeling too stressed out to have kids. So that's a yes. So if that happens to you, it doesn't mean like it's over. You guys can still like be sexual in just like little ways. So like kissing and small sexual exchanges here and there. It doesn't have to be full blown sex to know your relationship is still alive. If you're both feeling it, absolutely go for it. There's no rules to say you shouldn't. Next question. So these questions are completely separate from each other. So the next question is it okay for a husband and wife to feel like having sex every day of the week or even multiple times a day?
Yes.
100%.
Yes, thumbs up,
Do they
thumbs
have to
up.
be married? I mean, you're talking husband. You keep saying husband and wife. I'm like, yo, wait a minute here. Like, do we have to be married to fall into this category?
No, absolutely. This can be just in
Okay.
general. To keep it
Okay.
as simple as
Okay.
possible, we do husband and wife, but I can say partners.
Mm,
That can be more easier for everyone to
mm,
feel like they can connect with the question. So
mm.
yes, absolutely. So there's nothing wrong with, having sex a lot. There's not, a psychologist isn't going to come tell you like slow it down, guys. Nothing wrong with having a lot of sex. Also, if both people don't feel like having sex, that's also okay. It's only a problem when it's different. So I kind of gave the answer to the next question. But the next question is
Hey,
what?
excuse me. I'll be back in 20 minutes. I gotta run upstairs for a minute.
Yeah, sure thing. All good.
That's a joke.
I wasn't sure, but I was like, oh my God, that's funny.
Is it time? Is it time for
um,
sex?
Yeah, my alarm just went off. We got it scheduled, so.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Love that. There's some scheduling stuff in here and later in this chat. Okay, so is it okay? No, what if you have a big difference in your libido levels? Is it okay to refuse sex? It's a bit of a loaded question. But what are our thoughts on this? If you have a big difference in your libido levels, is it okay to refuse sex?
Yeah, but you can't be pissed off when the other partner goes and say masturbates or something like that. I'm just saying, like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're sitting there telling them no and then they go take care of the problem by themselves, you can't really get mad at that, right?
Great point. Great angle to bring up. Absolutely. Anyone else want to weigh on this question?
I think you got to find a way to make that work. You can't force sex, obviously, but yeah, you got to make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not doing rape here, but
Zero raping.
but I want to
Zero raping.
zero raping, zero raping. But I want to also say something a bit controversial here. So I think if two people are in, a the easiest one is marriage, but I can say partnership too. But when you kind of make a vow to be with the other person, like properly and committed, and for life sort of thing, and if that's what you guys are doing, then part of that is also the obligation to satisfy each other. And it could be, and sexually is part of it. So it's fine if you both don't feel like having sex because no one's upset. But if there is a big difference in your libido levels, that's part of being there for your partner. So we're not forcing anyone, but the person who has the lower libido level has to a little bit take that into consideration and own it. And absolutely, if they can't match obviously the level of the other person, that's probably hard to do. There's probably going to be some middle ground they'll have to negotiate. And exactly what CC Dabs was saying, what is the alternative and are you okay with that? And just making sure that you guys are, as happy with the situation as you can be, because if there is a big libido difference, that could open the gate for cheating. And, nobody wants that, especially if, they're very loyal and they would get very upset about that. And So we want to make sure our partners are, sexually satisfied, and working and having that hard conversation to make sure how you guys can make this happen. And if it means, masturbating, does it mean, can they watch pornography, or like, does this mean they can get a hooker, or like, just instead of talk about what it means so you guys are on the same page, and no one's doing anything unexpected. We're fully aware of the situation, no surprises. And but yeah, I would say if you're in like a committed lifelong relationship and you have a big libido difference, there is an obligation to satisfy each other in the different areas of your life. So it's one of the goals to work towards. And it's not going to be easy. It'll take a bit of figuring out how to do that, but it's so important and not something that should be put under the rug. Because yeah, this is if it keeps getting swept under the rug, this is a perfect recipe for just cheating happening, which is what we want to avoid. We want to make sure our partners are really happy and satisfied. So that's not even something that would come up in any way. So next question. How long does it roughly take for your normal libido levels to show? So assuming you started your sexual relationship with your partner, how long of being sexual with them do you think you'll be able to find out what their normal level of libido is? Like, is it low? Is it high? Is it medium? Like, how many times a week? How many times a month? How many times a year? Sort of thing. When do you think you'll find the normal level? Does anyone want to take a guess?
I don't understand.
Probably about 4 or 6 months in is when things will start leveling out.
Interesting. 4 to 6 months. Someone asked a question about not understanding.
Are you saying how long it takes to understand what their libido is?
Like when you first start dating someone, you have a lot of sex usually, or at some point, and then you have less sex, and then maybe you have some more, and then it levels out to like a routine of sex.
Mm-hmm.
You come out to your average, and I think it takes probably about 4 to 6 months to figure out your guys' average, because that newness kind of wears off kind of quick in that aspect when you get to that stage. And I don't know, I just yeah.
Go ahead.
I just that's what I think is about that 4 to 6 month mark.
Awesome. Also, I'm seeing some thumbs down, Chucky. Whenever you want to
I have no
come
clue.
up and speak,
I'm trying to
you're
think.
welcome.
It's all over the map. I don't know. It's all over the map.
Yeah. And Jim, to answer your question a bit further, usually when you first have sex with someone, there's a lot of chemicals at play because everything is so new and everything like that. So there's just some hormones that are released at the beginning that aren't released later on. So there's a natural high at the beginning, and some people actually don't understand this, and they make a really bad decision. They want sex to be like how it was at the beginning, and they break up with people when that feeling goes away, because they're like, oh, this must not be the right relationship because I'm not feeling like I did at the beginning with our sex life. And they see that as a really big problem. But it's really good to know that when you're with a new person and you just start this experience, there's a lot of hormones that happen that don't happen later on. It's a different sort of sexual experience after that you become comfortable with them. And that's just the natural progression of how things go. So please don't be breaking up with people because the specific cocktail of chemicals aren't the same. They'll still be great, but just a different sort of great. So the answer to this one is 1 year. So these chemicals can actually last for quite a while before you can figure out what someone's normal is with relationships. So 4 to 6 months, it's decent, but it'll probably level out even further for a year. So that's a good thing to know, that finding someone's like regular sex drive is probably going to take a little longer to figure out on average. Obviously, these are just on average stats. All right. Any questions, any comments about anything like that before we move on?
But okay, so if you're with that person that long, wouldn't that be you making that average? I mean, like, okay, so if your average is regularly 5 times a week with that person, that would be your average with that person. I mean, for the past year. So, I mean, like, would it really be increasing or decreasing? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. So
like
imagine you guys, yeah, go ahead.
because you're kind of making that as you're going and stuff. So yeah, you can make your own habits and keep them going. You got to, yeah.
Absolutely. Habits are so helpful, especially with sex. And we'll unpack that a bit more because having sex increases, the more sex you have, the more you feel like it. And especially if you've got like some good schedules in place or you just naturally, have it at that, however number that you guys are happy with. The big thing here is it's probably a good idea to check in with your partner about 1 year in to make sure, like, how do you feel about having sex 5 times a week? It's possible that someone has changed their opinion on this and they'd feel like not confident enough to share it. Maybe someone wants to have more sex, maybe someone wants to have less sex, but just to avoid any assumptions of someone feeling a little like it's too much or too little, around the 1 year point is a good time to just check in and be like, hey, babe, are you still happy with the sex 5 times a week? Or like, do you feel like a bit less or a bit more? Just checking in with where you're at. So it's definitely likely that they'll be like, yeah, definitely happy with 5 times a week, or I would have said something. That's like a perfect response. Or they might be like, oh, thanks so much for bringing it up. Actually, whatever, So it's just good to check in at that point, roughly around that point, to make sure you're both on the same pages if someone's not confident with speaking up on something related to this. Ballistic, your speakers at any point, feel free to chime in. Just unmute and go for it. This is a free
hello.
space to share.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Chucky fucking thumbs down on me. This guy. I don't even know this guy. Hiding behind a
Oh, we
creepy
got a
SPFP.
request.
He's
That's
active with the
funny.
thumbs, Chucky.
I know, right? Just speaking with the thumbs. Pee Wee Herman, I'll call him. No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I just wanted to say what's up. I just popped in and, well, I mean, I've been in for a little bit, but just started chiming in. Yeah, for sure, though. On that note, yeah, definitely, like, when you start having sex more, you definitely feel, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. It's like that part of you kind of goes dormant. You know what I mean? If not, and then it's like anything else. You gotta use it, exercise, not use it, but exercise it. And then you're a lot more charged in that vibe, right? So that's all. That's all I was gonna say
100%.
for the
Thank you.
conversation I just caught.
I appreciate it. That was amazing input. Yeah, definitely take to heart what he's saying. Having sex definitely encourages you, like just naturally makes you want to have more sex.
It it actually releases several hormones and stuff like that. Endorphins. It releases dopamine and yeah, that kind of fun stuff.
Oxytocin. Yeah.
Oxytocin. There we go. Thank you. Oxytocin. I'm sitting here like, oh shit, I just read it. Oxytocin. Yeah, I might have smoked a little bit of bud before. Yeah, or maybe all day. But yeah, oxytocin. So those are all some good feeling things. So I mean, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is also a great space for us to figure out, with women, where are, some of the main points that, are really helpful for turning women on in that vagina region.
Oh,
Because, we don't talk
Cece's
about
got
this,
thoughts on this
how,
one. I've heard some of these thoughts.
okay,
She wants.
so yeah, I'd love to hear it. Love to hear it if you want to
What?
step up.
Me?
Well, I just know you were not every woman, maybe every woman. I'm learning things all the time talking to you women people, but you want a
You women
you want a
people?
more aggressive sort of situation from your man than I expected.
Oh, this conversation. Let me take this cigarette. This calls for a smoke. Go outside for a smoke cap conversation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like
So,
there's some differences on that one for sure. Most chicks are go ahead. I just thought it was gonna take you a minute to get outside to smoke.
oh really? That's gonna take me that long? You think? Cause I'm pretty sure you can hear my door opening right now. Yeah. So, with me, let's see here. Spot, like, yeah. So, with I was in a space, Houdini, the space that Houdini is talking about. It was brought up that yes, a lot of women do like to have that dominant male. And we do. We like to have a male that can take that role, that can kind of put us kind of in a place that can not not necessarily control us, but can control us, right? Um, and can do it in a way with love and a little bit of power, but not a forceful power, right? But then we also come in like we want to feel this of this like safety, right? And that's where that domination and the submission comes in, where you've got this kind of umbrella where you feel safe, right? But there's another aspect to it on that side where sometimes we want to be called dirty little fucking sluts while you're doing us, right? And that's what Houdini wanted me to come up here and say. I know it is.
Well, it's a nice perspective to hear from a lady. It's like unique. I like it.
Because let me explain though, when you say it, it has to be said a certain way. Hey, oh, my neighbor caught me saying that too. That's great. Well, let me come outside and say this, and my neighbor hears me. Great. Um, but no, it's so basically what it is it has to be said with a certain inflection behind the voice, right? You have to say it with meaning, but it has to be said in a loving way. It has to be said like, yeah, you're a dirty fucking slut, but I love you because you're my dirty little fucking slut, right? That kind of a thing. So that's kind of, yeah, hold on.
Yeah, go for it, Ballistic.
I just think that's like hilarious because if somebody didn't know like how like what
Sorry.
somebody didn't know like how you what you meant like in this if somebody hasn't been in like if somebody's not in tune and knows this type of situation and how just to hear it as like an outside perspective like outside onlooker
It sounds weird as fuck,
it's
right?
so fucking complicated, right? And just so it's like yeah do it a little bit like this a little bit like this a little bit like this and like this but that's like so true like to y'all's nature and like it's super true. Like I totally can relate to what you're saying because I'm like, yeah, it does have to be. If you were just an outside person though, and you haven't had like some fairly in tune like experiences with women,
Yep.
in tune with yourself, you'd have no fucking idea what y'all are talking about. Which I just think is hilarious when you speak like that, you know. But it's true. Like it's you're spot on. It's just I don't know. It's hard to describe, but you describe it best.
No.
Yeah,
No,
and that's
I
why. Yeah, it's like refreshing to like talk about this stuff like without it being weird. That's why I like to connect these dots. So yeah, go on.
so yeah, it's and that's where this conversation we did have this conversation in a space because but the person that I was having the conversation was able to come up and kind of explain it from a dominant point of view of because I came in and I'm like, sometimes we like to be called this, but yeah, he came in and described it as a way of like, yeah, but there is a whole side of this to it. It's not that you're saying it derogatory, like you're a slut, you're sleeping with everybody. It's oh, girl, you're my slut. I fucking love you for that shit. Girl, be dirty. Go get down with yourself. I love you for that shit. Let's go. You know what I mean? And it's like they're proud of it, what you're doing, but it's a whole thing, right? But if it's said in a derogatory way, like you're a fucking slut, like that's total different infliction behind the voice, and it will cause a whole different reaction behind the female that you're saying it to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is true that every woman is different, and you got to be able to speak that woman's language that you're with. And to some people they're like, yes, this is amazing, and to some people are like, hell no, this is a turn off. And it is natural that that dominance that she was talking about is fairly natural to want, for a man to do. But then there's all these, you just got to figure out your partner about what you both appreciate and where that balance is between masculine and feminine energy and stuff. But absolutely, if you're with a woman that's saying that they want to hear these things from you, it's super important to take that seriously. Forget everything you heard of from every woman before. The woman in front of you, the woman that you're with, it's what they're saying that's 100% important, and no other woman's opinion matters. So make sure that you get it right with the person that you're with. And sometimes being with people before actually confuses you even more when you're with another person, because then they're not the same people. So you have to make sure that you really come at it with a blank slate and listen to what your partner wants now. Absolutely. And so that this is like a whole topic, you and your partner can get into and figure out what it is that you guys like and don't like, and what you appreciate, and how to get it right. And tone, absolutely. You can make something that sounds bad, sound right with the right tone, and that's something they could want. So definitely remember that tone matters a lot. 3 things I want to teach you guys about, just the area around the vagina, just so you've at least heard it once. So you probably have heard of the clitoris. That's probably the most like well-known thing that's down there. You're like, I just gotta find this and we're good. So I want you guys to think of the clitoris as like a wishbone. So the clitoris is like at the top of the wishbone, and then there's like the side thingies. And so they're all kind of connected. So I want you to know that if you're like moving around that whole area, including the tip of the wishbone and the actual like legs of the wishbone, like it's all happening. So they're connected. So I want you to know, yes, the clitoris is important, but remember its shape is like a wishbone. So that's step 1. Another thing I want you guys to know is there is a G spot, and the G spot is inside, and it's not the easiest to find. The easiest way I can try and communicate so you know where it is if you use your middle finger and your ring finger. If you just get those 2 fingers and you bend them a bit, if you're inside the vagina and you are using those 2 fingers and you're bent inwards, so you're curling inwards, that's most likely where the G spot is. But again, every woman's vagina is different, so you have to find out where your woman's places are, and then that's the correct answer. So I can only guide you a little, but you got to literally listen to your partner to figure out where it is. So that's the second one. So, some people can orgasm with their whole like clitoris. So you're not even inside. You haven't even gone inside, and a woman can orgasm from just stimulation of the clitoris and that wishbone area. The G spot, another place that women can orgasm. And then the third place is actually at the back. So if you go inside the vagina, but go as far back as possible, like you're probably getting close to the anus, but you're still inside the vagina and you're just barely in. So you're only a little bit inside. And that's a third place that is super stimulating, that can also make a girl octopus. Sorry, sorry, that's a term my husband and I have used
I was
for
gonna
a
say,
really
whoa,
long time. It's
that's some hidden in-home alpha
oh
shit that
my
just
god,
slipped
I'm
out
so
right there.
sorry. It's just been a code name for us, so nobody knows what we're talking about. But orgasm. So yeah, those 3 spots, they'll vary on the woman that you're with, but yeah, those
Did
are
you say
some great
octopus?
ways. No, Oh my gosh, you're gonna call me out when I do that. Okay.
That's
You better
hilarious.
check the
That's
comments.
hilarious.
I
Oh
think
no.
someone left a comment.
Oh, okay. Let me look. Okay, it's just loading for me. A few out. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Listen to this recording in IRL. That's awesome. I appreciate the comments.
There might be an octopus emoji there, everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Secret's out.
Secret is out. Oh my gosh, my husband's gonna be very embarrassed.
Unicorn and the octopus.
Oh
There's
my
all sorts
goodness.
of things.
Interesting. Mine is, yeah, no, my neighbor literally, you guys, my neighbor literally came up and tapped me right on my shoulder, right as I was like, sometimes we like to be called dirty little sluts. Like, he was behind me the whole fucking time I was saying that.
Oh my goodness.
Whoops.
Oh, well, they just got to know you very intimately.
You made a new friend.
No, I'm good on that one. Good on that one. Good on that one.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing to keep in mind with women is that, just in general, and obviously I'm only speaking in general terms, not everyone's like this, but usually men are okay with the same sort of sex position in the same way every time. Like if they if they have sex 3 times a week in the same way, they're like usually happy
That,
lads. But you wanna weigh in?
uh-uh. Not the men I've known. They're like
Okay.
switch and bait, switch and hit and go flip and but maybe it's because I'm the one that's like,
Maybe.
I don't know.
There's a lot of things at play, but for women in general, they get bored easily. So, if you've been with your partner for a while, like there's a whole art to learning how to make women feel like sexual and like feel really into it. Obviously, people with high libidos, those people are like great because they don't need, as much. They bring it. But it's quite common. Like, don't be surprised if the woman in your life says something like, I'm bored. Don't take that as like a shot through the heart where your relationship is dead. It's just a common thing. And so there's just got to be a lot more like mental stimulation going on. Like, just maybe there's got to be like, a story, or it's got to be more erotic, or like there's just, and the answer is with the person you're with. I'm not going to have the exact answers for your woman, but
Take her to
like,
the aquarium.
it could be, but it could also be just, warming up at the beginning. So like immediate, like, penis penetration is usually
Ugh.
not the most comfortable. So it takes time for, literally, like physically, it takes time for a woman's vagina to open up enough to be able to like smoothly take in a penis. So just, just that, it is underrated, the whole foreplay thing. Like, it's physically needs to happen a little bit for it to go more smoothly and be more enjoyable. So anyone want to weigh in on that?
Oh, I can weigh in on that. If y'all want your girl to bust a nut, that you gotta hit that floor with that foreplay, because yeah, we don't typically hit it just from penetration. Just so you guys know.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm glad you said that. At the beginning of the Twitter space, we established that 80% of women usually don't orgasm during penetration.
Devastating number. But
Yeah.
yeah, I established that you really gotta take care of the lady separate from the guy, and that's just the way it
So
is.
there's fun little vibes out there that you can actually buy that kind of anchor in there to where when you're doing that, it hits the clit. There's vibes that are like cock rings for you guys that can hit that clit when you're hitting it just that right way. There's ways you guys can stimulate both areas, and you can help get that orgasm where you're not just focused on ramming her. Like, get the toy out, use it on her while you're going at her. Because, guys are kind of intimidated by him. My ex, he got all like weirded out, like, oh, you're using your toy instead of being with me. And I'm like, yo, bitch, I came to you and you didn't want it. So I came in here and did my fucking thing. And then he came in there and was all butthurt about it. And I'm like, well, you stupid bitch, you should have came in here and gave me what I wanted. Like, what the hell? Right? Um, be comfortable with them. Be comfortable with the toys. Use them on your women if she's comfortable with it. Um, because they're there to help you guys out, to help get us going. I mean,
I encourage it.
um, mhm.
I encourage it. I think it's great. They're made for a reason, and it's like having a it's like having a co-pilot with you. You know what I'm saying? You're like, all right, homie, you got this for a second. Cool.
Little
I'll be
little
work.
helper. Yeah.
I'll be
Mhm.
working over here for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Right.
completely. I encourage it. I think it's wonderful. I going to like going to the
Facts.
sex shop with my lady and shit. My girls like
You
it's a
guys,
wonderful experience. I think it's great.
Houdini, should I bring up my things that I have?
I mean, if you're comfortable, I mean, yeah,
Oh,
I don't think
facts.
there's any
Oh, I will.
boundaries.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know I will. Oh, my I'm going you know I am. So you guys, there's these toys out there. They're called Lovents, and they are made they're Wi-Fi enabled. They have an app. Think of people that are like long distance, or if you travel, or for your little Web3 friends that you like to have fun with, whatever you want to do. But there's an app you can connect with. There's the female one, and then there's the male one, of course. There's different ways you can interact together with them. Um, Now, I'm going to use Houdini as a example here. I always pull someone in. So I have mine. I can give Houdini the link or my username. He can connect live with me, and that means he can control it by controlling the vibration or the rotation of it, right? Speed, all of that. Or I could control his if he had one
And
connected.
they can control each other, can't they? Somehow you're saying like that was the part that was like,
Yes.
whoa, that's wild.
Yes. So there's different ways you can do that interaction too. So I can live control Houdini, and Houdini can live control me, where his actions as he's pumping using that toy, it will actually make mine vibrate and rotate. Or we can set it to where as I am using mine and, using it in and out, it's going to make his. It has like a suction, like it has a contraction feature and vibration. Or we can set it up to where we both are controlling each other, to where mine controls his controls mine, or just one controls the other. So it's really fun for that control play or your solo play. You can set it up all sorts of different ways, and they don't have to have one to play. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want to weigh in on this and be like, it's a great tool to have. And if this helps, again, if you're both satisfied, this is amazing. I'm not going to have a
Mhm.
problem with people being satisfied. And this is helping balance things. The only thing I would say to take into consideration is if this becomes, for example, if the man feels like he can't satisfy his woman at all without this like tool, that can happen. You can get really over reliant on it, and then if you don't have
Oh,
it,
for
you're like,
sure.
oh no, I
You got
can't
to
do
keep alpha
anything.
on that tool, definitely. You can't let the tool
Yeah,
get the alpha or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And, there's all kinds of things with the toys and stuff like that. But, with these, they're kind of cool because you can, if you guys have that little thing, there's ones that you can use just internally while you're out and about, say shopping. You can use them and have that little bit of control and kind of, while you're walking around, he can whoop whoop. or whatever, and say, "Hey, babe, thinking about you,"
That's what I
in a
was going
fun
to
little
ask
way.
about. Can you have like a Meg Ryan experience, like in a restaurant?
You could, absolutely. All you do is connect it, and you have it set up. You can set pre-settings, patterns. You can you can set it to where it's set up with music. You can set it to where it's set up with like the speed of your car. There's all types of different settings that you can go in and do with it. And I know, I'm serious, you guys. That one's fun. The car.
Awesome. Thank
I
you.
suggest having a different driver, though. Don't drive and play at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes. Please
Yeah,
stay safe.
good. Don't vibe and drive.
Yes, that's another one from today. Don't vibe and drive.
Yep.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Okay, let's tackle masturbating. So this
Mhm.
is a thing that I don't know. In some religions, it's considered bad. You know, some people think it's good. You know, there's all different views on it. So, in my view, um, masturbating is fine if you don't include any visuals. Like, and by visuals, I mean like pornography, like in its purest form. If you're just doing it by yourself, um, you know, granted, if your partner's chill with it too, that matters. But in its purest form, there usually isn't anything wrong with it. It, you know, if you pair it with pornography, now this is where it starts getting complicated, and it, you know, for again, if both people are fine with it, I'm not going to create a problem. But usually, when pornography is involved for masturbating, it can create a lot of complications. And what some people do when they're single is that they use a lot of pornography. And then when they get in a relationship, that habit kind of creeps in. And what usually happens, and again, this isn't for everyone, but the woman usually, maybe sometimes the man too, would feel like you're turning towards pornography rather than me, and kind of, you know, this other person is, or this other image is sexually satisfying you and not me. And it becomes, you know, relationships can get hard, and it's much easier to turn towards a picture or a video or something like that, because there's, you know, less hassle involved. It's definitely the easier option, and that can create distance between partners. And you can notice that usually you have less sex, because people are turning more and more towards pornography. So this one can creep in if one of you starts feeling like this, and then if it's a bit of an addiction, which it usually is, because it's, you know, so ingrained with our hormones, you know, these dopamine hormones that release, and orgasms are very powerful. The whole concoction of you know, chemicals get released in our brain, like it's pretty much like you know, like drugs, like actually. So it's a very big thing that can can creep into a relationship and then be really hard to remove. So that's something to be aware of. Just masturbating by itself, usually fine if there's no visuals involved. But again, double check with your partner to make sure that you're both, you know, come to a good agreement with that. But yeah, just be careful with pornography, because it has a habit of going down this path that I described. And I hope it doesn't go down that path for you, but just keep that in mind. Another thing is fetishes. So if you guys have a really strong fetish for something and you really want to make that happen, this is a good thing to address at the beginning of a relationship. And I know it's scary and it's hard, and you want to have that chat and you don't want to lose that person. But if it's a deal breaker for you, where if you can't have this fetish, you don't want to be with your partner, it's much better to find out at the beginning than 1 year down the line where you've built this whole relationship around it and they don't want to have anything to do with it, and you just, it's such a big deal that it's a deal breaker for you. So if you have fetishes, be aware of them. Be aware of how important it is to you. Maybe it's not that important, or maybe you're willing to compromise, but just know, if it is extremely important to you and it's a deal breaker, please address that at the beginning, to just avoid that whole mess afterwards if the person isn't down to do whatever you want to do. The other thing I want to weigh in on, and I know we touched on this, but I just want to drive it home because it's so important. So the big secret for relationships with their sex lives is to, when you have sex, creates you wanting to have more sex, which is counterintuitive. But pretty much it becomes more and more intimidating and daunting and scary the longer we leave, put off having sex. We'll be like, oh, we haven't had sex this month. Oh, we're just gonna, just have a marathon next month, and a sex marathon. It's gonna be amazing. But then you start building this up, and it gets harder and bigger and more scary. And it's like, I don't feel like having a marathon sex right now. What's wrong with me? And then, it's just, your thoughts can get in the way. All sorts of things can get in the way. So definitely remember, sex makes you feel like having more sex. And one of the best ways that they've found through science is scheduling sex, which doesn't sound sexy, and I know that. But a lot of people that have really active, healthy sex lives schedule it in because you're being intentional about it and you're making time for it. Sometimes life can get so busy and you're doing so many things and it can get so stressful. And even in Web3, like there's so many things, you're in this space and that space, and where is the time for sex? And it's so easy for time to pass and for you not to have sex, and then it becomes scary and intimidating. So when you schedule it in at the rate that you guys are comfortable with, that makes you prioritize it and makes it actually happen. And there's always ways you can make it fun. You can use these like use a fantasy, use these toys, like try a new sexual move, like all sorts of things you can do. Try in a new place, in the house or outside, or who knows, all sorts of things to make it exciting. But scheduling it in actually isn't a bad thing. It's the thing that's actually helped people have the most healthiest sex lives. So when someone says that, don't shut them down. It's usually a very good idea. I wanted to touch on erectile dysfunction and Viagra because so many people, it seems like it's very common, people having Viagra. I don't have the exact numbers right in front of me, but I remember when I researched it, a lot of men have tried it. And so this is definitely an important topic to talk about. And so erectile dysfunction can be for all sorts of things, and it could be for emotional things where, they feel scared or not safe or just all sorts of things. And then if you introduce Viagra, which is a chemical that definitely has a lot of side effects, please don't forget how much side effects Viagra has. But let's say, you use Viagra, and just for people that aren't completely sure what Viagra is like a pill that makes men have like stiff penises ready for penetration, and it becomes a rock hard. So that's what it does. And so imagine you use this pill. It works like this. You feel excited that it's all happening, and then you use it again and use it again, and you're like, this is amazing. And now, if you don't have the pill, you feel like you can't get hard. And this is a very, like, people don't think about this, but you're becoming very dependent on Viagra. And Viagra has side effects. So, you're definitely going to feel it in other ways. But now you're becoming dependent on a pill to feel sexually turned on and to be able to get hard. So it can naturally become a lot harder to get hard without Viagra, because you've conditioned your body that it'll only work when you have it, and especially if you have erectile dysfunction, because and I don't like that word, they make it sound so dramatic. It doesn't, it can be fixed in a lot of different ways. It's not like a permanent thing if you have erectile dysfunction. But yeah, so just keep that in mind. And also, when the older you get, when you use Viagra, your penis might get super rock hard, but then the woman's vagina is not ready to take on such a hard rock at that age. You know, they need some good lubrication. Like, you know, the vagina wasn't built to have like a rock hard penis go in at an older age. So it might just naturally hurt the woman more, or there might just be complications there, or maybe more lubrication is needed. But just be aware that there's a lot more going on with that. Just as a brief point, does anyone want to weigh in on anything to do with the stuff so far? Everyone's listening. Wow. Well, feel free at any point you guys want to say something, go for it. And yeah, the last thing I wanted to kind of talk about
Hey,
was,
sorry, I'm listening, but
yeah,
I can't talk. I'm in a new location, but go ahead.
no worries,
Thank
no
you.
worries. Thanks for sharing. All good, all good. So the last thing I wanted to kind of touch on was, it's really important to set boundaries for how far you want to go sexually with a partner with different levels of commitment. And I'm talking to the people that, you know, aren't in, you know, committed lifelong relationships yet. And so there's all these steps that come before it. So what I would recommend is really have a think about it. So if you're in the stage of dating someone, so that means you're not exclusive yet, so they can still be dating other people. That's one level. And then you become exclusive, and you know, you can call it boyfriend and girlfriend, you can call it anything you want, but you're exclusive. And then usually you know, it's engagement, and then there's marriage if that's something that you want. Again, this isn't like, not everyone has to have it this way, but these are just the general stages of commitment. And so have a think about, at what stage are you comfortable doing different things. So it can naturally progress over time. Another thing to take into account is, you know, there's always the risk of, you know, STIs or pregnancies and things like that. So weigh that into your decision of, at what point do you feel comfortable being sexual. And the reason it's really good to do that, to have these kinds of, you know, figure this stuff out for yourself, is because when you do get in a relationship, then it's important to be able to communicate that to your partner, so they're not just, you know, waiting around forever. Imagine you get with someone, and you know, you want to wait and have like intercourse during marriage, like from marriage onwards, and you're comfortable to do other things before that. But imagine if your partner like wants to have sex within 2-3 months and they're not willing to wait. um, you know, that's an important conversation to have quite early on, and for both people to decide, you know, how important are these values to them, how much are they willing to compromise, and have that conversation. So one isn't just waiting, not knowing when it's going to happen, every meeting thinking, oh, today is going to be the day, today is going to be the day, and the other person's like not even thinking about it, and that can cause some complications. So just figure out what you're comfortable doing and at what levels of commitment, and communicate that with your partner, just to make sure you guys are on the same page and to avoid a lot of arguments. This can definitely cause arguments if you guys aren't on the same page with it. So there are some Reddit questions, but we're already over an hour, and we usually try and keep these to an hour. I just want to ask the people in the room, you know, if you guys want to do some Reddit questions on sex, put the thumbs up. Or if this has been like a lot already, thumbs down, thumbs up. Okay, another thumbs down. Okay, it's a split. It's a split, but
Hey, I
we've
gotta
got.
go. I'll talk to you
Okay,
guys
all
later.
good, all good. Feel free to jump off.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, well,
Whoever that was that said bye, that they had to go. Bye.
thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, so let's do at least the first one and see how we feel. Okay, so the first question for Reddit was, how to not be sexually repressed is the is the title of this one. And it says, I was raised in a conservative environment, and as a result of this type of education, I am sexually repressed. I want to have sex someday, but I'm scared of another person seeing me naked, and in my opinion, in the most vulnerable state someone can be in. This is also impairing my romantic relationships, obviously. I don't know how to feel about sex. I'm very confused. It's supposed to be something fun and intimate, but to me it's something dirty and scary, and I'm afraid I can never stop seeing it in that light. Any advice? So if you had a friend that came to you, what would you say?
Put on some lingerie, get down and dirty, and explore yourself. I don't know. No, if you're worried about the whole seeing you naked thing, honestly, there is the little outfits. You could go do that. Turn the lights off. You can do that, and that kind of aspect. And I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, if someone came to me like that, and I have like a psychology background with relationships, so first I would try and, those are great ideas, by the way, that you mentioned. Those are some practical advice that could help. So I definitely, those are important inputs. I would probably start with just trying to get a strong understanding of what this person's gone through. So tell me about your past and current relationship experiences so I can get a better grasp of what they've dealt with so far. And then ask them, have you ever felt turned on in the past, and try and figure out when it's been a positive association from them, and then what happens in their brain as soon as they get turned on. Do they just get turned off immediately because they remember it's like something bad from how they've grown up, or like what happens for them? Just unpack the timeline of how things happen. And then the next step, would be to try and start some of these practical suggestions, like CC Dabs said, and being able to realize that this person probably needs to be with a person that can understand that this isn't just going to be fixed in 2 seconds. Like, this person, it's going to take them time to feel more comfortable and safe, and it's this is a whole reversal of something negative turning positive. So it's definitely one step at a time with improvement. So if a partner's not willing to, like, definitely if someone wants to like have sex and have it be super positive like right now, like, they're probably not a good match. If this person, if they're willing to wait, and they're comfortable with this like slow process, then that's a good match. And so yeah, the partner needs to be willing to take it slow with this person, and build their trust and make them feel safe. And we have no idea, like, for some people, they've gone through sexual trauma, and that takes time to recover from. Or even just having your parents be like, sex is bad for like 20 years of your life is going to do some damage that needs to be reversed. So um, definitely try and find your match when two people feel a similar way. Like, if both people are feeling like this person, they're going to be so well matched, and they'll take their sweet time, and eventually they'll probably get there. But neither person is upset, because no one's pushing the other person to quickly make it to the other side. So again, similarity is so important to have on the same page. And if you're not willing to wait, then please address that at the beginning and find someone who's on the same page. So it goes both ways. Okay, so this one's a common one. So assuming it's very common for two people to not have the exact same libido. So one person will usually want to have sex more, because usually we're not two identical people. We're slightly different, even if we're super similar. So this one is titled, How Do You Tell Your Partner You Want More Sex? And the bit of the background is, I feel like I've been sexually unsatisfied lately, not because of the quality, but because of the quantity. How do I bring this up? Because I do feel bad asking for more, and don't want them to do anything they don't want to do at the same time. I mean, I really want a lot more. Does anyone want to take a guess at how to help this person with the very common question of, I want to have more sex? Okay. All right. So this one is, you just got to have the conversation. Even if you've had it before, you need to have it again. This is something that's really important to this person. And, this is going to be on their mind. This isn't something that's going to go away if you sweep it under the rug. And yeah, so please take it seriously if someone is saying something like this to you, and really work on figuring out how to tackle something like this. Yeah, some things that might help is, ask for when is a good time to chat with you about something that's important to me. You don't want to catch them at a time where they're super hungry, about to take the first bite of their meal. Or like they've just like about to leave the door, and you want to have this like tough conversation right then. So try and ask for when is a good time. Try and make sure they're like, well fed, or whatever it is, that they're usually in a good mood. And then, don't start yelling at them, being like, you don't satisfy me sexually. Like if you start like that, they're going to immediately go into defensive mode. Their heart rate is going to go up. They're not going to be in a state to be able to problem solve with you. So, you kind of have to address it like, I love having sex with you. The quality is amazing. But, naturally people are different. And so ideally, I would actually love to have sex this many times a week. And I know in the past we haven't, but I really wanted to have the conversation of, how we can work it out, because I really do need more sex to kind of feel like, great about my life. And I just want to figure out how we can do that. And then that starts the conversation. You don't have to use my words. You can obviously use your own words, but just start the conversation, and don't start it with an attack. If you forget everything, just start with I feel, and then say the feelings. I feel sad that because I want to have more sex, like whatever it is. Just be able to get the words out. And it's an important thing for both partners to take seriously, because when both partners want to have less sex or more sex, that's fine. But as soon as there's a discrepancy, that's something you guys need to take seriously. So that's that one. I want to, so this next one is, am I being unreasonable? So this one is an 18-year-old male and an 18-year-old female. So I'm on my first serious relationship with my girlfriend, and I've been best friends since kindergarten. We are dating for 4 months. I know it's not a big time. But I really feel connected to her, like she's the one. The problem is that she really, okay, so I remember this one. This one's a bit long, so I'll summarize it. So this is relating to blowjobs, and he really doesn't enjoy it, and the girl keeps trying to do it.
I've heard
And
of this
Oh my
phenomenon
god,
where
that's
dudes
so
don't like
weird.
blowjobs.
What?
I've heard of this. It's really strange, though.
oh, you've heard of this
That's
one? Yeah.
strange as fuck. I would be
Yeah.
like devastated. But I actually have to take off for a few. I'll try to come back if you guys are
Yeah.
still going on. I'm gonna
Sounds
like
good.
totally. I
Thanks for
followed
listening.
you. I'm
Yeah.
gonna come back in again.
Awesome. So there's more to this story. So there's actually a really good reason for why he doesn't
Okay,
like
okay.
it. So
Uh-oh.
so he actually got bit really bad by the last relationship he was in, and he went to hospital. Yeah.
Did she do it intentionally? Like,
So this was the
what did he
previous girl.
do?
Yeah, so this was the
What did he
previous
do?
girl. So they broke
Girl,
up. But he hasn't told this other girl, this new girl that he's with, that he thinks is the one, and she keeps trying to give him blowjobs, and he's like deathly afraid and not enjoying it. And so his question is, am I being unreasonable? What's wrong with me in this situation? So,
girl, I want to know what the hell he did to get bit, because you're sitting here like, oh my god, like he did, like, to cause that, like, for us to react that way. Holy shit, what did he do?
that's a fair
Oh,
point. I
I want to
don't
know.
know. They didn't tell us. But they told about the solution to this one. If someone came to you with something like this, the solution is obviously going back to your partner, explaining that you've had this history, explaining the story, and then saying, look, please, like, let's not do that for a while, and let's only bring it up if I bring it up, and then go from there until I start feeling more comfortable. And so he actually gave an update on this Reddit and said, thanks to everyone who posted here. And then he said, we had the conversation, and she's like, definitely doesn't bring it up anymore and understands. And, I'm feeling more safe with her in that way. So they had the conversation and things are better. But yeah, you never know someone's history until they tell you, until you ask about it. So that's a crazy one. That's a crazy one.
Well, that's fun. I gotta jump out of here though.
Okay.
Like I was like, you told me there was a story on that one. I was like, oh no, I've got to hear about this because that's just, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
I really want to know what he did to deserve that. Because oh my god, you had to do something that. Oh my god.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
guys, tip to the wise: don't do stupid shit when your dick's in your girl's mouth. Just saying.
It's good advice. That is good advice.
Yeah, I guess if she is like that, but I mean. X Ink's probably down there like, what the fuck did I just walk into? Hi, X Ink, how are you? I haven't seen you for a quick minute. I gotta jump out, everybody. Have fun. Have fun.
Great
It's
having
naughty.
you.
I love it. Bye.
Bye bye. Awesome having her. Awesome having her. Okay, so for anyone who's just jumped into the room, we're doing Reddit questions on sex. We've had like a whole skills session prior to it where we're pumped and ready, and we're so much more knowledgeable to be able to handle these. If you haven't listened to the beginning, these sessions are recorded, so you can just go back to it and listen to all the information and knowledge from before. So this one is, okay, 2 years without sex and don't know what to do anymore is the title. So 24-year-old male, 23-year-old female, and the story goes, I met my girlfriend in 2021 and we got together and she said it outright that she never had sex. And when we got more handsy, she told me to respect her time. Well, I'm still waiting. We have done oral and everything, including fingers and mouth, which, yeah, it's sex, but no penis and vagina, which is the abbreviation PIV, which I had to look up what that was, but that's what PIV means. So they haven't done PIV yet. The thing is, oral and fingering is great for her. She always has orgasms, but not so great for me. I like it, but I rarely come. I thought we were making progress since we started talking about PIV, but the last time we've talked about it, she said she always feels pressured when I touch the subject. She said that she wants to go for another contraception method that isn't pills before doing it, along with condoms. I agree. And then she wants to go to the gynecologist to see the IUD or an implant. I agreed, but she still hasn't gone. She doesn't take any action. I'm tired. I don't feel like touching the subject again for the 20th time. My sex drive is insanely high, but I don't believe this is a matter of incompatible sex drive, since when we are in bed, she always wants to do something. It's just not really good for me without PIV. What the hell do I say? I know several of you will go to the extreme and comment to just break up, but I'm looking for another approach, especially from women. Okay, so if you had a friend like this, 2 years without sex, don't know what to do anymore, does anyone have any idea of how to help this person that's come to you? Okay. So some of the things that we've touched on would be that we need a timeline. You need to know when you feel comfortable. She's giving very wishy-washy answers. She's saying, I need to do these things, and she's not doing them. And the guy's waited 2 years. And he said they've had this conversation 20 times. So this is not okay to keep, neglecting and throwing under the rug. The guy deserves some clear expectations on what's going on. So then, he must think she's worth it if he's waited this long. But like, if she's saying, look, realistically, this might be another 2 years, he needs to decide if that's something that he's willing to go through or not, if he waits another like 2 years and she's still not ready, he would rather know that now and figure out what he wants to do than like go through another 2 years of this. And, maybe it's just she needs help booking the appointment. Like, we don't know what is going on, but it's not okay for her to give him wishy-washy answers
Yeah,
like that.
2 years is a long time, and
Yeah.
I missed part of it. But is she a virgin? Like, has she had sex before, or is this like a thing like she just decided to do with this guy?
Okay, so she did say at the beginning she's never had sex.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Yeah.
that's the thing. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So clear timelines are very helpful. And, if she is saying, look, I can't give you clear timelines, but I need to go do this whole IUD thing and see a gynecologist, well, then, when are you going to go do that? And like, just some time frames, because just saying, I'm going to give you no clear indication is not okay. It's not very respectful to your partner, because they should have the right to be able to also know what's going on with you and to be able to be supportive. So that's another important thing. Just saying you need to wait forever is not okay. We need more clear expectations.
Yeah, and maybe it is forever for them, and that's cool. But like, she shouldn't have established like the gynecologist thing as like a thing that was going to lead to the thing. I think maybe that was a flaw.
Exactly. And we have no idea if she's being indirect. It could be even that, she is secretly waiting for marriage and or like, engagement. And if that is, that's fine. But you need to be able to clearly communicate that. Absolutely, like what Houdini said. So maybe she thinks if she waits long enough, he's already thinking about proposing and everything's just gonna line up perfectly. Like, we have no idea. Maybe that's something she's thinking, maybe it's not. But they really need to sit down, and it's not okay that they've had this conversation 20 times and he still doesn't know what's going on. So definitely shouldn't be avoided any longer. Okay, last Reddit question for the night. So this one is, am I asking too much from a FWB? And I had to look this one up as well to see what that stood for. But it's friends with benefits. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, so feel free to jump in at any point you guys want to speak. So this one is titled, am I asking too much from my friends with benefits? And if there's anyone in the room who doesn't know what friends with benefits is when you just have sex without a relationship. And sometimes you might be like friends that turns into that, but there's no relationship attached to it. There's no commitment attached to it usually. So that's what that is. So the background on this one is, we haven't hooked up yet, but yesterday I mentioned staying over at his place and he shut it down immediately. He said that he wouldn't want me to stay the night if I came over, even though he lives an hour away. He expects me to leave immediately after. He says that hanging out after sex is for dating, and that's how you catch feelings. My place is closer to where he works, so I suggested that and he said sure, but he's going to leave immediately after. I can't explain why, but um, that makes me feel crap. He said he wouldn't kiss me either because kissing is for dating, but he's okay with making out. I've only ever slept with people I've been in a relationship with. Never hooked up with anyone before. He's the same. These expectations just don't sound right, to be honest. All right, what do we think? What do we think about this? Ballistic, go for it.
He's either gay or he's in a relationship already.
Could be, could be. We don't
For
know with
sure,
these
he probably
situations.
already has a chick. That's probably what it is.
It might be, and that's fair. We just have so little information, and it's so detached. Friends with benefits is so detached because they're like, I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe you like any of these things. It's not a proper relationship. There's not that same level of trust involved.
He's
So
like, I don't gotta tell you all
yeah,
the dudes I've been sleeping with.
100%.
No, that totally sounds like coming from a dude's perspective, that sounds like some just straight bullshit. There's like a sus reason behind that. That's my personal opinion, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input, for sure. And something that, of anyone entering a friends with benefits, um, there's a reason that it's friends with benefits and not a relationship. So actually, I'm again generalizing, and this doesn't, apply to everyone, but a lot of the times women think that, oh, if I just friends with benefit him long enough, he's gonna fall for me. And even if they're like the most independent chick, sometimes they like fall into that very easily, and they think it's just gonna happen. But if you're entering a friends with benefit situation where there's no relationship involved and there's just sex, there's usually a reason for it. They see something in you that they don't want to be with you in the long term, or they have, for whatever reason, a very complicated relationships, or they are not in the mental space to want to be in a relationship. For a lot of reasons, they don't have the ability to give you what a normal relationship gives. So there's also decency involved, and respect, and those sorts of things, that you can still be a good person and find a way to manage this. But the foundation is rocky to begin with. So it's very normal for people who expect relationships that try a friends with benefits. They get really let down because there's so many differences. There's no foundation that you're building on, for kind of, it's just sex. So it's very natural to expect to stay the night. It's very natural to expect that someone will tell you if they're with someone else, or whatever the situation is. It's very natural to expect that, but you it's not there in the foundation of friends with benefits. So yeah, just if that's what you're doing, just don't expect anything, because the foundation is wrong to begin with. So if you are looking for, the things that make you feel loved and make you feel safe and respected and all those things, they usually don't go hand in hand with friends with benefits. They go hand in hand with someone that thinks you're amazing and wants to be with you, and works hard to make you happy and doesn't hold secrets. And you absolutely deserve someone like that. It's everyone can have something like that in their lives. So just, it's very easy just to remember to want to have expectations of a relationship when there is no foundation to begin with, in those sorts of situations. So I'll just open up the floor. If anyone has any questions relating to sex, any stories, any comments, anything, this is a great time to ask questions, and I'm happy to answer. If there's any, just unmute or put your hand up, whatever you prefer. Just have the floor for a moment if anyone has anything they want to say. Okay, let it marinate. Yeah, go for it, Ballistic.
I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your time and stuff, and it's good to get people used to, like, having these conversations, right? Because it's just like anything else. It's like not surface usually, like tabooish, right? Like even like spirituality and shit like that, and even like like whatever your beliefs are, if it's like contra to anything, a lot of people are just so squeamish nowadays about having those discussions and stuff. So it's really silly, and it's bad. Well, not bad, but it's not good. It's not healthy for us, right? So communication is like super important in all areas. So yeah, I appreciate you for doing that.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot. And absolutely, this is hopefully just the start of us having these conversations and feeling comfortable of having these conversations with our partner. It's needed more than ever. So absolutely. Mazda, I see you have a question.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I can
Oh,
hear you.
perfect. Okay. Yeah, good talk. I think no one really goes into this topic, and then it becomes a taboo, and then it can be really awkward, maybe for your first relationship and stuff. So it was good to hear from different perspectives, and I don't know, just have more context with it. I think a lot of people don't know that much. So just thanks for that. I think my question is maybe, is there any good books, or do you recommend talking with your partner about this stuff as like a first measure, or reading up? Because there's not much resources out there as much. What would you recommend for someone who wants to maybe look into this or practice this skill? I don't know, like get better at this stuff.
Yeah. Great question. So, definitely starting to talk to your partner about it is a great start. If once you do get in a relationship, or if you are in a relationship, best place to start, because even if you learn things, like I was saying earlier, every woman is different. You got to kind of throw everything out the window, almost with a new person, because you have to really understand how they feel and what is important to them, and it can be very different to someone else. So definitely don't ignore that. Something that you can do to just increase your knowledge in the meantime, like one from a technical standpoint, like just feeling comfortable with yourself. So the best way without visuals is the simplest, to just explore your own body and figure out what feels great for you, because then you can communicate that to your partner, that I really like it when it's like this is how it works when I do it. And so you can build knowledge on your own body to see what works for you. Another technical thing is just looking up, even if you don't want to, like looking up just like cartoon images of sex positions. Like just start learning what they are, because as you heard, women usually can get bored quickly after maybe a few years of the same thing, and having more positions that you at least have seen before that you can try and attempt is one way of doing it. And you can always try a bunch and see which ones work best for both of you, but at least you don't freeze up and think, oh no, I've got nothing up my sleeve, I don't know what to do. So from those are technical points. So far I'm still reading a bunch of sex, like research, like psychologist sex books, people that have like done research in this for like 40 years and stuff. The one I would recommend that I've read so far it's been great. The title is Super Marital Sex. And because they've just done lots of decades of research on married couples. So they were the target audience that they had a lot of access to from a scientific standpoint. So they've got a lot of research there. But so far, the main takeaway that I've taken from that is having sex makes you feel like having more sex, which is counterintuitive, and scheduling sex is so important to make sure that it's prioritized and it happens. So there's definitely much more advice in this book, but Supermarital Sex by Dr. Paul Purcell. So if you ever want to look into that, that's probably like a good resource so far. So yeah, explore your own body, find some good sex positions that you think might be interesting, or read up on some. Just try and increase your technical basis, and then maybe read like a decent book like Supermarital Sex, where literally sex experts that have spent dedicated their lives towards helping people's sex lives through science and figuring out like really the best cream of the crop ways to make it happen. That's the book I would recommend.
Thanks, mate.
Sure thing. Anyone else have any questions that they want to jump up and ask? Or all right. Sounds good. Sounds good. And if you ever come up with any questions or anything like that, always feel free to message me. And I'm here every week, same time, same day, same time, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So you can even save your question and bring it next time. We're super open to people talking, and I think that's the best way to have these sorts of conversations.
Thanks
So thank you.
for having such a nice open space. So
Oh,
it always feels good here. Good job.
thank you. Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate that. All right. Wish you guys all an amazing sex life and an amazing week in the future. Have a lovely week, guys.
Hey,
Bye. Yeah.
octopus all day.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
8 times the
That's
charm, baby.
all
No,
right.
thank you
Bye,
for thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you.
sure thing. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.